Rogue Angels playthrough, come on back after the break. Hey everybody, welcome to the show Board Game Reviews. This is a YouTube channel dedicated to the tabletop gaming hobby, and this video is part of a series of videos looking at the game of Rogue Angels. Now, Rogue Angels is a cooperative game for 1 to 4 players. This is a story-driven game and a legacy-style game where basically if you ever play the game Mass Effect on the PC or on the Xbox, or you played any kind of dungeon crawler, or if you played, well, let's just say any story-based, really strong narrative dungeon crawler, you have a rough idea what Rogue Angels is. This is a cooperative game where players are going to be playing through an entire campaign. And this video, what I'm going to do is this is going to be part of a multiple videos where I'm going to actually play through the earlier parts of the campaign. Now, obviously, I'm not going to be able to play through a lot of the campaign because the full campaign itself comes with 70 different missions, of which on every single playthrough, you're going to play through about an average of about 40 of those missions. What I want to do, though, is to play through the campaign through a couple different missions so you can get an idea of the narrative that goes with the game, an idea of the decisions that come with the game, and an idea of the gameplay as it evolves for this full game. Basically, I'm going to break this up into every single video is going to be part of one of the missions. So first mission is going to be one video, second mission is second video, all the way through. I'll probably do maybe 4 or maybe for the first 5 missions here. That way you can see the different decision trees and the different things that go into and how you will actually start seeing how once you make your decisions, you're basically locked into those decisions and how those are going to affect your further gameplay as you're playing through the game. But before we go any further, I do need to let you know that this is a video that's based on a prototype for the game. Everything you're seeing here is 100% prototype. Now, while some of it looks really good, like the artwork for the game looks very fantastic, some of it is very much obviously prototype, especially when you look at the drawback for what we're doing, things such as hacking terminals and trying to get through doors. What you're going to see here is a whole bunch of prototype components. What I'm going to do is I'm going to throw out some images of what the final component should eventually look like. Just understand that what you're looking at here, artwork-wise, is pretty close to the finished product, but the components themselves are basically very much an early prototype here, just so you understand. Don't judge the game on what you're seeing here. This is 100% of a series of videos that's all about the gameplay, so you can see if Rogue Angels will be a game that you and your gaming group are truly going to enjoy. Now remember, this video is part of a series of videos just showing gameplay. If you want to see a quick overview on what Rogue Angels is, learn how to play the game, or see an actual review of the game just based on what we have right here, check out the videos in the series. Again, we're just going to do some gameplay through multiple different videos here with multiple different campaigns. Now, the very first thing you're going to do when you're playing Rogue Angels with your friends is the first thing you're going to do is every single player is going to get one of those dossiers. And again, emphasis on prototype here, but the dossier is basically going to have stuff such as your character, which is going to be a double-sided character card. One side is going to be for the advanced mission. The very first side is going to be the introductory mission, which is the mission we're going to play right here. You're going to get 7 cards that are going to be, some are unique to your heroes, some are shared among all the other heroes. Basically, there's some basic cards that all the players get, and some of our heroes get their own personal cards to be specific to their hero, special powers, and they really match the theme of their specific hero. Basically, all these cards are going to give you abilities, and if you play games such as Gloomhaven, you have a rough idea of the kind of gameplay we're looking at. This is a very strong card-based mechanic game system where you use your cards to perform your actions. There is very little luck and very little randomness in the game. Matter of fact, the only reason that you have dice in this game is there are dice in this game that give you bonuses. The cool thing about this game is your dice are never a hindrance for you. Your dice are always going to be a bonus. Every time you roll on dice, they're going to give you some kind of bonus. So you're striving to always want to roll the dice in the game, but the dice in this game are never going to totally cheat you. Well, of course, unless you need a movement and you happen to not rolling movements, but hey, that's neither here nor there. That's going to be based on your card play. A lot of the strategy comes from the card play and the smart card play for the game. So we're going to go ahead and get things started. Go ahead and do the thematic thing here, and I'm going to go ahead and introduce you to the campaign for Rogue Angels. Vexation, Fury's Fall, Brimstone Base, year 1001 ATA. The main entrance to the scorching hot sulfur-engulfed hangar area shuts behind you. Pirate Security Overseer, in person tells you, ah, fresh meat. Welcome to Brimstone, outer suburb of hell and closest viable settlement to the burning suns. Population? None of your damn business. If you'll step right along to the elevator, we can begin the process of getting you oranged. The elevator starts moving. Pirate security overseer, in person. People like you always seem to wind up here. Drifters and opportunists. Always looking for that one big score, right? Well, you found the right place to look if you don't play by assembly rules. The elevator comes to a halt. Pirate security overseer in person. Speaking of rules, we do have a few. First and foremost, some security precautions. Can't be too careful when there's a war on. You know, follow me. C1 mission brief update number 1. Guard, in person. Step aside, spread out, and don't move. Hand over your identification and your weapons. We will withhold these till you leave the area of the base again. Enforcer, also in person. Belay that order. There will be no inspection for now. We have been ordered to permanently confiscate all weapons from all visitors, no exceptions. And any neomorph or champions are to be hand over all their gear as well. We don't trust those warmongering snakes. So at the very start of this mission, the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to have a little bit of a hindrance. Both of our heroes need to go, since we're playing a 2-hero game here, both of our heroes need to go through the hand of starting cards and look for any cards that have to be weapons or gears, especially if you have to be a neomorph. If you have to be a neomorph, you need to remove all your weapon and all your gear cards, basically meaning you only have 3 action cards left over. But if you happen to be a non-neomorph, or in this case a Leviathan, you get to only have to remove 1 card that's a weapon. The other 6 cards will remain in your hand, and luckily you'll get to use these cards. And trust me, you're about to need these cards very, very quickly for a little bit of a weapon jailbreak. Stay tuned for further. Pirate Security Overseer in person. Let me run you through how things work around here. Hellfire are top of the tree. What we say goes, and what we want, we get. Below us, we have the traders and the merchants. After them, the bounty hunters and smugglers. And last of all, we have you. Guns for hire. Now, this is nothing personal, just simple rules in a galaxy full of rivaling species and ideologies. Pirate Security Overseer. That concludes our welcome tour, so I'll leave you to entertain yourselves. Follow the arrows to the bar. Don't leave the leisure area. Don't get cute with the guards, and don't start a fight. Like I said, simple rules. Break them, and we'll break you. Oh yeah, enjoy your stay. The noise from the speakers and the crowds intensifies as you approach the bar area. Bartender, in person. Welcome, Outlanders. What'll it be? If you don't mind a strong aftertaste, I have a newly imported Marauder rum from Hell's Market on Asgard. The bartender waves you to the bar again. Bartender, in person. Here's your drink. You have a personal call on the comm. Let me reroute it to your device. Just a second. Umbracious, comm. Greetings, Commander. I'm pleased to hear you've already assembled a team. As you can imagine, the war makes it almost impossible to find unaffiliated agents through our regular channels. But let's get straight to business. The Amorph polity is deeply concerned by the Assembly's failure to control the unprovoked aggression of our enemies. I have therefore been tasked with exploring alternative strategies to defend the polity from all current and future foes. An exploration that has led me to this particular suburb of hell. So at the start of the mission, the very first thing we need to do is we need to set up this very, very basic introductory mission. And before we go any further, I must impress upon you this very first introduction mission is extremely much a tutorial mission. Don't judge the gameplay too much in this tutorial mission because basically we're going to hack something, we're going to shoot a couple times, and the mission's going to come to a pretty quick end here. If it wasn't for me doing a little yammering here going, you would probably see this mission played through about 25 to 30 minutes. It's a short one. It just introduces you to the basic mechanics of the game. And again, stay tuned for the future videos in the series. We're going to see the action very, very quickly ramp up as we start getting into learning exactly what I mean when I make that reference to Mass Effect with this story-based legacy game. So the first thing we need to do is we need to add in some blocked locations. Now the game, I cover this quite a bit in my overview video, but this game does come with a lot of maps and a lot of variety, and these maps are actually going to be folding spiral round booklets. If you played Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion, or if you're a fan of classic Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, and you purchase any of those unfolding maps where they're spiral bound books where you just basically open them up and that's basically your entire map, or even the game from Ryan Lockett with Red Raven Games. You are really much familiar with the idea I'm trying to present to you right here. You're basically going to unfold a book, and that book is going to give you your maps, and you're going to go through many, many different maps. So understand, again, like I've already said, this isn't prototype. Let's go ahead and finish our setup here. So the first thing we're going to have is these 3 areas we blocked off, basically meaning they're not accessible to us quite yet. But again, these are evolving scenarios. And there's going to be this little point of interest we see right here. And we're going to know all this stuff by looking at the setup for the specific map. Basically, it's going to tell us that we're going to use map number 1. We're going to place 3 points of interest like we have. And then we're going to place this one specific point of interest. So these 3 are block paths, and that's 1 point of interest. Let us know that we're basically stuck in one quick area, and then we know that we get to set up our team on the board in 1 of 4 places. So we have Lelia, and we have Antithesis, and Antithesis is a Leviathan, and this is our Neomorph. So we need to place these people out here in a special way, and also understand their abilities and their strengths. These people are a little bit more bloodthirsty? Just a little bit. So just putting them out there and knowing that it plays these missions, I'm going to set these guys up in the way that I'm pretty sure they're going to work a little bit better, knowing all their abilities and everything like that. So I'm going to place the Neomorph right here, and I'm going to place the Leviathan right exactly there, exactly as it shows on our map. Now that we've done that, we can go ahead and continue with our storyline here. Umbracius, via communications. Vexation is a wretched place to find yourself delayed, but that is the situation I find myself in. Rendezvous with me at my location and I'll explain further. Don't delay, Commander. I have no desire to stay in the garbage incinerate of a system a second longer than necessary. So mission parameters, success. We know that this is going to be a 2-hero game, so we're going to follow all the parameters that go along with any kind of 2-player game. First thing we're going to see is that we only have 4 turns to complete this mission. If we fail to do so, bad things are going to happen. Look in the first 2 missions, it's actually not that bad if you fail. If you fail, it's basically just going to be a restart. In the later missions, when you fail, your heroes are going to start getting scars. If your heroes get enough scars, they can actually be permanently slain. Fortunately, in the full version of the game, their game does come with 20 different heroes, in a game that you're only going to play with a max of 4 heroes every single playthrough. So you do see that even if your heroes die, it's not a total terrible loss. You can still continue the mission, continue the campaign, and the storylines that are evolving here. So for success in this mission, we know that we need to get the commander adjacent to the point of interest. So before we go anywhere, we need to pick out one of our heroes that's going to be the commander. I need to denote who our commander is going to be. So I'm just going to use this little thing right here to denote who our commander is. This person right here is going to be our commander, and all we need to do is get our commander, which is right here, next to this point of interest. The nice thing about being next to it is I don't need to be on top of it, just need to get next to it, and we need to do that within 4 turns. Shouldn't really be that hard to do, and if we do so, we're going to continue with the mission, which is going to evolve and give us some additional parameters. So let's go ahead and figure out what we're going to do and start the very first round. Now, the very first thing we're going to do during the play sequence is we need to pick which one of our heroes gets to go first. One of the very nice, awesome things about this game is that the turn structure is very fluid. Every single round, every single player gets to activate 1 time. Once all the players have activated, we're going to go to the next effective turn structure of the game, and we can reassign a player order at that time. So every single time, as long as every person gets to activate 1 time, everybody gets to go in whatever order they want to. So it behooves you to be strategic and decide which order you want your heroes to activate, because it's part of the strategy. If you need a really tanky situation, have your tanky person go first. If you need to snipe someone from 8 squares away, probably want that Neomorph to go, because that's something that they really, really excel in once they get my weapons back. So remember, at the start of this mission, we have a very much a restricted access to what kind of weapons we have, and we are going to have the Neomorph activate first. Unfortunately, out of my 7 cards, I'm only going to start with 3 of them, because the rest of them all been turned into lockup by the Hellfire pirates who think that they can confiscate my weapons. Oh, no, you don't. You don't take away my weapons. Never in a space game. I may channel Commander Shepard once, twice, a dozen times, because I really enjoyed Mass Effect. I thought it was a fantastic game, and this game really is giving me Mass Effect vibes in a really, really good way. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at our hand of cards, and we're going to see that we have 3 cards available to us, and only 2 of them allow us to do any kind of movement. So basically, we know that we're not going to use this card because we don't need to interact with anything. We just need to get next to that point of interest. So basically, I have these 2 cards right here that are allowing movement. This card right here gives me 0 movement, but I can roll 3 dice, and that can potentially give me the movement I need to get right next to it. Or I can use this card right here, which allows me to 1 guaranteed point of movement and 1 roll of the dice. And as long as I roll 2 points of movement, I'm going to make it all the way to the question mark. As long as I can roll 2 points of movement. course, I do get 2 actions. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to play it safe because there's a possibility I might need that higher movement card here very, very soon. So I'm going to play this card down right now. And since it is going to be a 0 cost action, it's not going to go on my action track at all here at all. So the only thing I need to do is place it over to the side. And when you play your card down, you immediately roll the dice after you decide if you want to spend any of your special abilities. Fortunately, we don't have special abilities quite available to us until we get to the second mission. So basically all I need to do is just roll the dice and we will get a shield, which is very, very useless to us. I will not spend any focus and I will simply move 1 space over and this card will go back into my hand. Well, let's see if we do that again. Let's see if we can make the dice actually be in our favor this time. Again, I just need to get next to that point of innovation, point of interest. And if I just get 1 point of movement or a 1 or a 2, basically, I think 2/3 of those dice should work for me. 2 whole thirds. There we go. So that's going to give us +1 point of movement. So we have 2 points of movement, 1, 2. We basically completed this part right here. And now let's go and finish the end of our turn. So at the end of our turn, we're going to get a free rest action. Don't need to worry about that. We're going to flip this over to signify that we have activated. In the full retail version of the game, this is actually going to be a little token that looks like it has a battery on it to let you know when you have activated your individual heroes. And now that we've done that, then we're going to move the turn marker 1 space forward. And now we're going to go ahead and see if we have any mission checks for any updates. And we do. We managed to move next to the point of innovation. So let's go and look at the campaign book and figure out exactly what is going to happen. If success, continue to C1 mission update number 1. Mission update number 1, remove 1 blocked path and 1 point of interest. So I remove the block path and I'm going to remove the point of interest right there, just like it instructs us in this. And then we're going to place 1 door, which will go right here. And then we're going to place 1 console, which is going to go right here. Now that we updated the map, we got to go into more storylines. So Ambrosius in person now. So pretty much he is right here at this point of innovation. He's hopped on the map and maybe one day he may get a cool miniature. But for now, we just got the basic prototype components we have right here. So Ambrosius in person. So you can follow instructions. Very good. My agent promised me a competent team, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. We'll consider my immediate problem a trial run. Prove yourselves capable, and I'll make the mission very, very much worth your while. When I arrived, these Hellfire thugs confiscated my ship and equipment, and now I see they're doing to everyone. Perhaps they're running low on resources. In any case, I'm not interested in that petty problems. If they want to steal my ship, it'll be over my dead body, or more precisely, over a lot of other very dead bodies. Get into their enclave and hack their console so that you'll be able to retrieve our stuff. And don't let anyone get in your way. Mission parameter, success if we get there in turn limit of 6 turns. So we're going to reset the turn limit at this point. Again, we're not going to reset anything for our heroes. If we had played down any long-term cards that were on our timer track, they would still remain there. If we had any wounds or any of our focus was used up or any of our shield or anything else was used up, none of that refreshes during mission updates. The only thing that updates during mission updates is the timer itself and possibly the map and, oh yeah, maybe a couple bad guys, but hey, that's part of the fun. So success, turn limit is 6 since we're playing a 2-hero game. Open the door and disable the console. So we must open this door and disable this console right here within 6 turns. So that basically means both of my heroes are going to get 3 actions. If they can do that within the 3 actions, it's doable. It's kind of close actually. True story. I failed this mission the first time. I got a little bit arrogant and said, it's a tutorial. How are you going to fail? I failed. Not going to do that again. Not going to do that again. So if we fail, we're going to restart the entire mission. And we'll only fail if the timer reaches down to 0. We should be A-okay here. So now that we have our mission update, we know that Lelia cannot activate anymore, even though she does have her 3 cards in her hand, because she's already activated. So now she cannot activate again until all of our other heroes have activated. So that does mean that we get to go over to our Leviathan hero right here, who does have a full stack of a lot of cards right here. So let's see how we can go ahead and interact and figure out a way to get towards that door, hack that door possibly, and maybe get this mission further on its way. So looking at our hand of cards, the first thing we need to do is we need to do a basic move. And we're going to do a basic move. We're going to play this card down. And since this is a 0 card, we effectively are going to put it over here off to the side. I'm not going to actually do it because I'm trying to leave these turn overview cards here for all of you to see, because I think that's going to help you understand the concept of the game and how the flow of the game works. This is the play sequence, and these are all the symbols mean, but just help you understand it. So I'm going to play this card here as my 0 card, which is effectively going to be to the left of my hero board right here. And now we need to roll a die and see just how well this movement card is going to work for us. Now remember, we want to get at least a 1 movement point so we get next to that door. That's our basic objective. We roll a 1, we're doing good. Actually, if we roll a lot of things, we're doing good, except for a shield. A shield would be really, really bad. Luckily, there's only 1 shield. So I basically, as long as I get a 1 through 5 technically, should succeed. Got a +2. Very, very nice. So we're going to go ahead and move 3 spaces here. We're going to go 1 and 2 spaces. And I think I am going to remain right there because I don't want to block the door for my Neomorph, who, let's face it, is a much better hacker. This guy, he has claws, he has talons, he has regeneration, big, thick carapace. He's a machine of tearing things apart. He's not really good at opening doors, unless we're talking about with his claws. Anyway, so that has been our first action. So now for our second action, this card will go back into our hand, and now we get to do an interact action. So we don't have a lot of really super cool interact powers, so we're basically just going to do the basic interact right here. So the basic interact is we're going to do 1 possible interaction plus whatever we happen to roll on the die. So let's see if we can roll something good on the dice. This right here would be absolutely perfect if we can roll that all over again. Maybe. Let's see if we can do it. And we're going to get 2 points of movement, which is totally useless to us. So I'm going to go ahead and spend 1 of my points of focus right here, because this is my second action, and I don't really have anything else to do here. And I need anything, well, pretty much anything about that. So let's roll, and we will get a +1 or move 1. I'm going to take the +1, which is going to allow us to get an extra 1 draw from the bag. Now, when we're doing anything like hacking doors or we're hacking terminals, we're basically trying to get 3 of the same color tokens that match the same color. Once we get the 3rd matching token out of the bag, we have successfully opened the door, or hacked the lock on the door, or hacked the terminal, whatever it happens to be. So since I have gotten 2 draws from the bag, we're going to draw 1 at a time. Now, the reason why we draw 1 at a time, though, is because if we ever draw a second white on the same drawing phase, not on future phases. So if I draw a white now and then another player draws a white and then another player draws a white, or the same player draws another white on a later activation, that's not a negative. But we do on the same activation, the entire hacking attempt has been foiled and we have to restart the entire hacking event over. So that's why we're going to draw these 1 at a time. The white is kind of the wild card, but if you get 2 of them, you're in a lot of trouble. So the first thing we will draw a purple. So now I'm basically looking for a white or a purple to come out of this bag. If one of those come out, I'm doing good. And neither one of those came out. So we have a red and a purple. So we need to pick 1 color to keep, and every other token of every other color is returned to the bag unless it's white, because white is a wild card. So right now at this point, you understand why I'm about to say this during future hacks, but it doesn't really matter at this point, just whatever I feel lucky. So I'm going to throw the red back in the bag, and that's going to be the end of our hack. That's the end of our action. That's the activation for our hero here. So we're simply going to flip over their token here, signifying that they have activated, and that happens after a rest, our free rest. Fortunately, we don't need to do a rest here at all. So the only thing left to do is to go ahead and advance the turn marker, and once we advance the turn marker, that is basically it. Now at this point, we will look to see if there's any mission updates. There's not a mission update because we know we need to hack both these 2 locations before the mission is going to update. There's no enemies on the board yet. Ooh, spoiler alert. No, it's not really a spoiler. It's a space-themed game. We know some pirates are going to come jump on us here any second, but let's get back to the fun here. So we have not managed to do anything else here, so that's going to be basically it. So both of our heroes have activated. So now that both of our heroes have activated, I get to refresh both of their battery tokens, and now I get to decide, since both of them have refreshed their batteries, I can pick which one of our heroes I want to activate at this point. I am thinking that the hero I want to activate is probably going to be the one who is better at hacking. Unfortunately, right now at this point, neither one of them is really better than the other at hacking, which is kind of the unfortunate, sad truth, except for the fact that Lelia actually has a lot more focus, unlike Antithesis, who does not really focus too well. Must be all the rage. So he's standing right next to the door, so my mind kind of thinks the best thing to do would be to open the door, hopefully for Lelia. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and activate Antithesis And yeah, I'm probably going to butcher all these names from here to high heaven, but just work with me here. So let's go ahead and play our 0 basic interact. Again, I'm laying it right up here to signify it's actually a 0 action, which means it's going to come back into our hand. And let's go ahead and roll a die. Now remember, I'm looking for a +2. I have 1 focus left to spend. Let's see if it's going to work out for us. And I'll get a +1. So that's going to be at least 2 draws from the bag. So let's go ahead and do 2 draws. So now I'm looking for a purple or a white. And we'll get a red, which means I should have kept the red last turn. So that's our first draw. Our second draw from the bag is going to be a white. Okay, so now remember, white is a wild card, so I need to pick either the purple or the red to put back in the bag. Karma tells me if I put the purple back in the bag, I'm going to draw a purple. Karma also tells me if I put the red back in the bag, I'm going to draw a red. So let's go red again. Maybe. So that was our first action. So let's go ahead, pick up this card, and let's go ahead and play that card again as a 0 action. Remember, since it's a 0 timer action, we don't need to worry about the timer on it. It's basically going to go back into our hand right after the card resolves. Only thing left to do is to roll the die. And we got a +1. That means it's going to be 2 draws from the bag again. I need a white or a purple. That's what I need, is a white or a purple. And you know what I got? I told you that's karma. I knew that is exactly what was going to happen because that was just my luck. Luckily, my second draw from the bag is going to be a red. So apparently red was just what it happens to be. So now that we have gotten 3 matching colors, remember white is a wild card, that means we have 3 matching colors, we have successfully hacked this door. So this door is going to be removed from the board. Whenever we hack something, we don't move it to the side, it's literally removed from the board. The interesting thing about it is all 3 of these tokens are now removed from the bag. So now I have 1 less wild card token left in the bag, and I also have less reds. So that means on future turns, if I draw reds, I know they're the least amount in the bag, so I may not want to keep them, especially if I start drawing purple, because maybe I get more purple. Either way, the door has been hacked. That has been the complete activation for Antithesis. He will get his card back into his hand. We're going to do his free rest action, because remember, every hero gets a free rest action at the end of turn. We're going to flip over his battery token, signifying that he has activated, so we know not to activate him again. And then after that, the only thing we need to do is advance the turn marker right here. And we basically have 4 turns left over to go ahead and hack this computer terminal. So I only have 1 hero left to activate, so let's go ahead and activate that hero right now, who has movement, and he needs to do a lot of movement because he needs to get all the way over to this computer terminal and possibly hack that computer terminal, and hopefully a lot of good things happen. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually use unpredictable move, because with unpredictable move I get to roll 3 dice. Now statistically that means hopefully I should get 3 points of movement. The really cool thing is I could get up to 6 points of movement. So hopefully this is going to give me everything I need, because I need to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I'm hoping for a heck of a lot here, but I'm hoping I can at least get next to that darn terminal, and then both of my heroes will reset. That means he can be the one who gets to hack that terminal next turn, and maybe I'll get to do this before I run out of time. Unlike the first time I played this mission. I'm still embarrassed about that. I failed the tutorial mission. You never fail the tutorial mission, except for here. It's still funny. So we are going to go ahead and play this down, and since this card right here has a timer number on 2, that means it's going to go on my number 2 slot for this hero. And now I get to roll 3 dice. Now the unfortunate thing here is I have 0 movement at all. That's basically the wins of the dice here right now. I'm hoping I'm going to get some of the 2 movements on there or something like that, or a whole bunch of bonuses that's going to give me a lot of the movement I really need here, because if I get the movement I need, things are going to work out great, and we're going to get closer to the terminal and get exactly where we need to go. So we have managed to roll. So we've managed to roll a 2 movement plus 2 movement plus a 1 movement. So I actually have 5 points of movement. Just so close. Anyways, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the nice thing about this is this basically means that I am pretty much right next to the terminal I need to be. So I'm actually happy about that. And I've only spent 1 action. I still have 1 action left over. I could spend it to move next to the terminal, and that means I can't hack, or I can go ahead and rest, which means I'm going to get the unpredictable move card back in my hand. I need to really think about what is more important to me here. This is tough. I actually think I should have put myself right there. So what I'll do is I was right here. So I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like this. I'm going to go ahead and do a rest action, which will put unpredictable move right there. And now I get to end my turn by taking my free rest action, meaning that this card is going to go back into my hand. I will flip over my token here, signifying my turn is over, and then we will advance the timer right there. The mission's not going to update. We don't have any enemies, and since both of our heroes have activated, let's go ahead and reset both of our hero action markers right here, right now. And let's see if we make things work out a little bit better in our favor. So, I am thinking that we will, I want to do this just right. So 1, 2, like that. So, we're going to go ahead and activate Antithesis, and he is going to go ahead and spend one of his movement cards, his basic movement right here, which again is a 0, so it goes on the 0 on his timer. So I'm just going to put it back in my hand for simplicity right here. And then we are going to roll a movement. Basically, I just need 1 point of movement, and I will be okay. Of course, I'm going to get a shield. I'm going to spend my last focused, and I'm going to re-roll this die. And I'll get a shield again. Okay, this is not going in my favor. So 1 point of movement. Second action, I will play my move card again. Again, it's a 0 action, so it'll go right back in my hand. And then we're going to roll the die, and yeah, that's what I needed earlier. So let's go ahead and go 1, and we will go 2. Actually, no, we'll go 2, just like that. Unfortunately, that was both of our actions, so we're going to do a rest, we're going to do the battery, and our timer is going to advance down. And if I don't get good draws out of the bag, I might fail this mission again. Oh my gosh, that would be so embarrassing. Comical, but embarrassing. So let's go ahead and go over to our Neomorph, who gets to go ahead and activate. So our Neomorph is going to do a basic move. And I'm not even going to roll, because there's nothing I can get out of it. I can't get any extra benefits out of it. I guess position would be nice, but yeah, I'm not going to worry about that. So we're going to go right here. We'll take the basic move card right back in our hand. And now we are going to do the basic interaction action. And that's going to be a 0. So now we're going to roll the die. And this right here is what I'm looking for, is for this +2. If I get the +2, life's going to be grand. If we get anything else, I'm going to be really, really possibly frustrated. Spend a focus. +1. So that's going to be 2 draws from the bag. I'm going to take it. First draw from the bag is a blue. Second draw, blue. White. Okay, this is actually really, really good. That means, since that is both of the draws from the bag, if I get a white or a blue on whoever activates next, I've managed to hack the terminal and we're doing A-okay. So this person's turn is over. We're going to gain that card back. We'll flip the token over, and then we will advance the timer, letting us know that it's just looking grim. But grim as it may be, let's refresh both of our heroes right here. Let's go ahead and activate Lilia again. And you have all the focus, so hopefully, you can get the rolls we need. So, basic interact, we will go ahead and interact with this terminal right here. Roll a die, and we will get a +1. Yes, we will draw twice from the bag. Looking for a blue or a white. I will get a red, and I will get a white. So, I can go ahead and use the whites as wild cards. I think I'm going to do that because I don't want to risk failing this mission. So the red will go back in the bag. Both of these whites will be wild cards as blue, and we will discard all 3 of these. That does mean that we only have 1 wild card left in the bag. But the good news is the terminal has been hacked, and that does mean we have reached one of the mission parameters, so we can go ahead and continue with the mission. So that only used up 1 of our actions, which is nice. So for our second action, I think I'm going to go ahead and take the focus, which is going to give us back our focus that we need right here. And then since that's going to end our turn, we will flip over to signify that we have activated. And then we'll advance to 0. And then fortunately, since we managed to hack the terminal just barely in time, let's go ahead and continue the mission. C1 mission update number 2. As the console shuts down, you swiftly open the armored boxes containing your confiscated equipment. Action. Every player gets all the weapons and gear cards back in their hand and is now able to use them again. So the good news for our Neomorph, that means their hand of cards is back up to 7, which is great for them because they were supremely handicapped. And then for our Leviathan, well, not too bad. They only lost 1 card, but they're still quite happy to get that card back into their hand. Let's go ahead and continue with that mission. Umbracius. Via communications. Their security system is compromised. I have access to the vault and my ship. I'll pick up my crew members in the bar area and meet you on board my ship. It seems that the Hellfires have been alerted to your presence. Get yourself out of there ASAP. Or don't. That way, I not pay you. Aaron, via communications. Who are you? What are you doing in a restricted area? Did you not understand the rules you were given? I guess I'll have to get my guards to give you a little reminder. Mission parameters. Success, turn limit 6. So let's go ahead and reset the turn limit back to 6 right here. So on success, we eliminate all the enemies. And we fail if the turn token reaches 0s or all players are unconscious, then we need to restart the mission. So the very first thing we need to do is we need to place 2 thugs, Y1 and Y2. So let's go ahead and grab 2 of our thugs right here. We have our Y1 and Y2. So Y1 thug is going to be added onto the map. And they will be added right here. And then Y2 thug is going to be added onto the map just below him. And the interesting thing about this mission, it doesn't matter if you're playing this mission with 2, 3, or 4 players, this mission always has the same amount of enemies. So with 2 players, it can be a little bit more challenging. It's really not that bad. And it's kind of fun, and again, it does teach you the quick mechanics for the game. So the other thing we need to add is 1 guard at R number 1. So let's go ahead and grab a guard at R number 1. So guards have 1 armor. They do have 4 hit points. They have range 1, movement of 3, and they do 2 damage. Luckily, it is not unblockable damage. So that's the good news. The bad news is that they're going to start off really, really close to our heroes. Luckily, we got our big shredder guy here really, really ready to do some really good damage. That's the good news. Here's the bad news. Bad guys get to go before my shredder guy gets to go. That should be a little bit interesting. So let's go ahead and pull out our AI, and we need to find apprehensive attack, and we're going to start apprehensive attack on the red side. Since he is the only red enemy, that means he's the only one who's going to activate here in just a moment. But let's go ahead and finish the rest of our mission setup here. So again, we win if we eliminate all enemies, and we fail if the turn token reaches 0, all players unconscious, and then we have to restart the mission. So the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to look for the red enemy with the lowest initiative. There's only 1 red enemy on the board, and it's going to move towards the nearest player. So if we look at him, we are going to see that he has a movement of 3, and he only has a range 1. So that means he's going to get next to the nearest player. So he's going to move 1, 2, which puts him next to the nearest player. Enemies will try to avoid diagonals as much as possible, so we're going to go right next to our hero. We wouldn't go down here. There's a whole bunch of little idiosyncrasies to the AI of the enemies. It's actually not too terrible, but there's a couple specific rules they try to follow at all times. Basically, they avoid diagonals. They're not a fan of diagonals. So now we've done that, they are going to go ahead and attack the same player. We see that this guy does 2 damage. So going over to our Leviathan hero, that means he's going to take 1, 2 points of damage. Not too terrible, but it's going to be enough to get him kind of angry. Hulk smash maybe type of situation, but that's a-okay. Now that we've done the enemy AI, we now get to go back to our player sequence, and the player who has an activator is a Leviathan. And he's got a bad guy next to him. It's time to cause a little bit of pain. So looking at our hand of cards, we see that we actually do have a couple different attack cards. We have this stance right here. It says at the end of your turn, before the free rest action, deal 4 or deal 2 damage to all adjacent enemies. I want to save that for the thugs because the thugs do not have a lot of hit points. If I get next to them, I can do some really, really good damage here. We have our armor regeneration, not to worry. Run in tear allows us to do move 3 and then deal 1 damage to an adjacent enemy. Not that big of a deal. Armor claws allows us to do 1 damage to an adjacent enemy. Not that great because I can't really boost it up at all. So basically, I have a couple options. I can move and get out to a far enough range. That's going to allow me to shoot this guy with my Leviathan shock rifle. Really don't think that's what I want to do. I really just want to take this guy out as quick as possible because I know the thugs, as soon as I go, the thugs are going to activate. So the other thing I could do is I can go 1, 2, 3, 4. If I get 4 points of movement and then use the coal stance, I could probably do a lot of damage. I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to do the run and tear because I think that's going to work out a lot better. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to play run and tear. Since this is a 2-timer action right there, it's going to give us a move of 3 plus 1 more possible point of movement. So let's go and roll the dice. And we'll see that we're going to get a +1. So that's going to give us a total of 4 points of movement. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to go ahead and move all the way to that location. And then if we look back at the card here, it says we'll move a total of 4 and deal 1 point of damage to an adjacent enemy. Luckily, these enemies right here do not have any armor at all, so I'm going to go ahead and do 1 point of damage to this guy. And again, remember those prototypes. I'll show you a nice little image here really quick of how this is really going to work. There's going to be some really cool dials that we're going to rotate for all of these heroes and these bad guys. That's going to work a heck of a lot better. But let's place them back down here after we do the 1 point of damage to them. And then we are going to go back and we're going to use our other card right here, which is going to be our Kobold Call Stance. This says at the end of your turn, before the free rest action, deal 2 points of damage to all adjacent enemies. Unfortunately, this is going to be a timer 4 card, but it's also going to do 2 points of damage to all adjacent enemies. So right before the rest action happens, because I've now done my 2 actions, he's going to take 2 points of damage, which is effectively going to slay him. So I will remove him from the board. That's Y2 who is gone. And this guy is going to take 2 points of damage, leaving him with 1 hit point left. And standing next to a very, very angry Leviathan who has lots of very sharp claws and a couple thick pieces of carapace all over his body. Makes him a lot harder to hurt. Should be really interesting what's going to happen next. But that's it for our player. We're going to simply flip over our token right there, signifying that our turn is over. We are going to get our free rest action. Let's go ahead and slide this over just a little bit here, make it a little bit easier for everything to be seen. This will slide over to the 1 slot. This will slide over to the 3 slot. And now that we've done our free rest action and flipped our token over, next thing we are going to do is we're going to advance the timer token down to 5. And now we are going to check for the mission parameter. So the mission parameter we are looking for is all the enemies defeated. Hasn't happened yet, but that's okay. We're doing really, really darn good. So next thing that's going to happen is the enemies are going to activate. So now since the red enemies have activated, that means we need to flip this over for the yellow enemies who get to activate. So there's only 1 yellow enemy left on the board, so we're going to flip this over, and that yellow enemy is going to do attack the nearest player, and then he's going to move towards the same player if he needs to. He doesn't really need to move towards the nearest player, so he's just going to attack, and he attacks, and he does 1 point of damage only. Not a big deal because we have plenty of armor left, so we're just going to take 1 point of damage to our armor. We haven't even started taking injuries yet, so our heroes are doing really, really well. Really fantastic. Not a big deal. So since both of our heroes have activated, let's go ahead and refresh their action tokens, signifying that their turns are now ready. We can activate either one of these however we like. Now we just need to figure out which one of our heroes we want to activate next. So I am basically seeing a couple different options right here. I can actually activate the Leviathan. Since he has a lot of hit points and a lot of armor, what I could do is I could simply take this guy out right here and then possibly move 1, 2, 3 all the way back over here. Or what I could do is, since I just happen to be just in range of my shock rifle, if I can move over to get line of sight, which would probably be right here, that would give me line of sight. If I can get right here to the space right here, I can do 3 points of damage to this guy right there. And possibly, if I roll well enough, I can possibly do 4 points of damage. No, he has 4 life. I'd have to do 5 points damage. If I can do that, I can pretty much take him out, and then I can sit there and tank that guy. Not a bad idea. My other option here, if I really wanted to think about it, is I could activate him right here. I do have my laser sniper rifle, which allows me to do 3 points damage to anything within 4 to 8 spaces. I would need to move away from him, and luckily I'm going to roll 2 dice, which would allow me to move a little bit further away. Of course, I couldn't get far enough away to use my laser sniper rifle. So I want to show some really, really cool things here. So I guess what I could do is, let's see here. Unfortunately, our positioning is not the best in the world. So the problem here is, if you really think about everything, the problem is this guard right here has 1 point of armor. So the most I can do is 1 point of damage with that card, or 2 points of damage with this card, but the trick is I don't know if I can move far enough away. And moving far enough away is the big thing that I need to do. So I think what we are going to do is, okay, I think I know what I'm going to do. Less of this wishy-washy stuff. Let's just make a decision. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do unpredictable move. So unpredictable move, I was going to go down here on my timer number 2, just like that. And that allows me to roll 3 dice to get some movement out of this. So let's roll 3 dice, and I need to move a certain distance away. And I get, well, I get 4 points of movement. That's actually pretty good. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 points of movement just like that. So now that I have my 4 points of movement, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to play my laser sniper rifle. So 1, 2, 3, 4. He is within the range right there. So I do get to roll some dice if I want to, and I'm going to take these dice rolls because it may allow me to move more beneficial location. Let's play this card down just like that. We get to roll 2 of our dice, and we'll get a +1 in his shield, and we'll get a +2. Unfortunately, it doesn't help us. I was hoping for like a movement or something like that. Either way, not a big deal. We'll do 3 points of damage. He has 1 armor, so he's going to take 2 points of damage, leaving him with 2 hit points left. And was he? He was right there, right? Because, yeah, he was right there. So it leaves him with that. Unfortunately, I didn't take him out, but not too terrible. I got my 2 actions, so let's go ahead and do our free rest. Let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and advance the time marker, and now we get to go to the bad guys because we have not reached the mission success. So we're going to flip this over, signifying that red gets to go, and this is a red guy, and he's going to move towards the nearest player, which would be this hero right there, because we want to minimize the use of diagonals. And we know that he has a movement of 3. So he's going to go 1, 2, 3 movement like that. And then he's going to attack the same player. So this hero takes 2 points damage. Luckily, we have lots of shields, so not a big deal for us at all. We can take it. We haven't even taken any wounds yet. We're actually doing really darn good here so far. So that's it for the bad guys. So now let's go over to Antithesis, who needs to figure out what they want to do. And we actually have couple different options right here. We do have this thing right here. It allows us to do damage to anything within 3 spaces. So if we go ahead and look at the map here really carefully, 1, 2, 3. Hey, he happens to be in position. It's almost like I planned it. Let's go ahead and use our nice Leviathan shock rifle, and let's try to shock this bodyguard really quickly. So this would normally be played on number 3. We don't have any openings number 3, so let's place it here on our number 4. We can always place cards on a higher number, just not on a lower number. And this one is going to deal 3 points of damage, plus whatever we can happen to roll on a die. So if we get that number 2, life would be awesome. And you know what? We got the +2. So we're going to do a +2. Show you the card over here. So the card does 3 damage right here. Plus 2 points damage is going to be a total of 5 points damage. -1 for his armor is going to be 4 points damage. He only has 2 hit points left, so he is actually going to be defeated, and we will remove him from the board. And we will let out a nice cackling, whatever roar that Leviathan likes to make. And we've only done 1 action. We still have 1 action left over. And we have an enemy who only has 1 hit point left. Oh, bother. I think we're going to have to claw him a lot. A lot. So looking at our hand of cards, I have Armor Claws, deal 1 damage to, that's unblockable to an adjacent enemy. So this will come over here on this slot just like that. And it's going to do 1 point of unblockable damage. We don't get to roll any dice, and basically just has 1 point of damage. He is going to be defeated because even if he had 1 point of armor, it wouldn't matter because it is completely unblockable damage. Why did I do that? Because it was a lot cooler to go ahead and slash him. So that is going to end his turn. He's done both of his actions, so he's going to go ahead and do his free rest. This will slide off. This will slide down, slide down, slide down, and this card will go right back into our hand. It's going to flip this over, signifying that our action has occurred, and then we will signify that 1 more turn has advanced. And now we get to go ahead and look at the mission, check, and see if we're going to get an update. And yes, we do. Mission update number 3, remove the 2 block paths. So let's go ahead and remove the 2 block paths right there. We're going to place a 1 door, which is going to go right here, which happens to be right where our spaceship happens to be. We're going to place 1 console right over here. And then we're going to place 2 thugs. So we'll pull out our thugs again. And we'll get a thug who's going to be Y number 1. which will put him right down here protecting the console. We'll get Thug, who is going to be Y number 2. He's going to be up here just waiting to cause us a whole bunch of problems right there in that location right there. And then the next thing we are going to add is we're going to add 2 guards. We got guard 1, who is going to hop right out of the woodwork right next to us, makes it extra fun. And then we will get guard number 2, who is also going to hop right out of the woodwork. And again, pretty close to right where we are. Well, that's okay. We have a lot of options and a lot of things that we can do. So now that we have taken care of that, we've aligned the ship with the door. The only thing left to do is bring out the disorganized attack. So let's go ahead and get rid of apprehensive attack, and let's go ahead and bring out disorganized attack, which is all the way on the bottom. This is the AI that they're going to start with, and it does show that we're going to start with our red side up. So let's get some thematic story going on here. Umbrasius via communications. We're ready for takeoff from Hangar 17. Unfortunately, the Hellfires have our ship locked with a tractor beam, so we won't be going anywhere unless you can disable it from the control room. It seems that they have also locked the gangway door to the ship. You know what you must do if you want to get out of the sewer and get paid. Aaron via communications. Okay. For better or worse, you now have my full attention, and you won't be going anywhere when I'm through with you. You'll be an example they talk about forever of why you don't screw with the Hellfires. Success. Turn limit for this is going to be 10 rounds because we have a 2-hero game going on. And we succeed if we open the door and disable the console and get all the players on board the ship, or if we eliminate all the enemies. So if we eliminate all 4 enemies, we're going to win. If we disable the door and this console right here, and then get both of our heroes onto the ship, we're also going to win this scenario. Unfortunately, if the turn token reaches 0 or all the players knocked unconscious, we will then have to restart the mission. That's not going to happen because we're ready to go ahead and rumble and have a little bit of fun. Unfortunately, since we have just reached a mission update, bad guys always activate after a mission update. That means that both of these guards are going to go, which is going to go for disorganized attack. So we may have to suffer a little bit of pain really quick. Let's go ahead and suffer that pain. So let's go ahead and activate the red bad guys. So we come down here over to the AI, and we see the very first thing is the red with the lowest initiative, which is going to be this guy right here. He's going to move towards the nearest player. Oops, already there. And then he's going to go ahead and attack the nearest player. Well, he does 2 points of damage. So coming back to our hero over here, we're going to see we're going to take 1 and 2 points of damage. Yeah, that means we're about ready to start taking wounds. This is not a good thing, but hey, part of the fun of the game, right? So back over here, 1 has attacked. Now option number 2, or bad guy number 2, gets to go. He's going to move towards the nearest player. He's already there. And then he's going, I'm sorry, got it backwards. He's going to attack the nearest player, and then he's going to move towards the nearest player. Unfortunately, we are surrounded, so guess what? We now get to take 2 more points of damage. And now this is going to be an opportunity for you to see exactly how the damage cards in the game work. So let's go ahead and start drawing actual real wounds, because we managed to go past our armor. So the very first wound card we are going to draw is going to be Abrasion. Now we're playing on standard difficulty. If we're playing on hard difficulties, we'd have to compile all these negatives. But since we're playing on standard difficulty, we're going to go over here. It says, when drawn, move a wound card 1 space on the timer track to the right. Well, heck, we just lucked out. We don't have any wound cards, so this card is going to be discarded. Whew, nice safety there. I'm sure our luck is not going to hold out here. So next wound card we're going to flip over is probably one of the worst cards in there. Anyways, open wound, which is going to go on slot number 4 over here. It says, when drawn, place this card on number 4. Now, the unfortunate thing about wounds is when you get actual true wounds, they start clogging up your line right here. And if your entire line gets filled up, you're going to be knocked unconscious. These are true wounds, not just damage to our armor. So things are getting a little bit more deadly for our heroes. Well, that's okay. The bad guys are gone. Now, both of our heroes get to actually reset, and I get to pick which hero is going to activate next. And I think we're going to activate Antithesis, because if I activate him, I can use some of his healing, because if you look at him, he does have some really pretty darn good healing options right here, because they have armor regeneration. Now the negative here is I don't have any room on my bar here left at all. So that means what I need to do is as my very first action is I need to do a rest action. So let's go and do a rest action, which is going to slide all of our cards down. So this is going to go down. This is going to go down, this is going to go down, and this is going to go down. What I'm really hoping for is get this card right back in my hand and then I can use that with my massive damage, and that'd be 4 points of unblockable damage. I do believe that would take out 2 guards. I'm just waiting for it. It's such a cool power. It's so darn awesome. This card is going to go back in my hand, and look, I have 1 slot left over, and I think that slot is going to be used for armor regeneration. Now, armor regeneration normally would go in slot number 2. Unfortunately, my slot number 2 is full, so I have to put this all the way over in slot number 4, but I get to roll a couple dice, and if I get a couple shields, I'm also going to gain some extra bonuses here. So let's go ahead and roll 2 of our dice, and you're going to see why I keep explaining this guy is one heck of a monstrous combat beast, because we are going to get exactly what I need here. So we're going to gain 2 shields. So let's go ahead and go 1, 2 shields. And then we see that regeneration says heal yourself for 1 wound. Well, by Jove, I think I am going to heal myself for 1 wound. Let's go ahead and remove that right there. And then it says we get to gain 1 shield. We're all the way back up to 3 shields. We're actually looking really darn good. That's both of our actions. So let's go with our end of a turn free rest action. So that's going to slide down, slide down, slide down. And this wonderful card here is now going to go back into our hand. Unfortunately, that is it for this player. We didn't get to do as much as I wanted to, but he was able to take a lot of damage, absorb a good beating, and stand back up and grin at them and say, oh, wait for my turn to come back around. You're going to feel it right on back. But that's it. Now let's go ahead and advance the turn tracker. Turn tracker says we have 9 turns left, and 1 hero is activated, so now it's time for mission update. Not ready for mission update yet, because it's either take out these guys or hack the terminals and get aboard the ship. I think you know what path I'm going for, because I really do have, well, a good melee monster over there, quite literally. So, red has gone. It's time for the yellow guys to activate, which is going to be the thugs over here. So the very first thing we're going to do is look for the lowest initiative, who's going to move towards the nearest player. This would be the nearest player right here. Unfortunately, wall's blocked, so we can't attack because he's out of range. So now he's going to move towards the last activated player, which is going to be this hero right here. We do have a movement of 3, so let's go ahead and move 1, 2, 3. Let's get the dice out of the way because they're just blocking us and not helping us at all. Then the second lowest initiative is this guy. He's going to move towards the last activated player, and he's going to attack the nearest player. So he's got a movement of 3. 1, 2, 3. No line of sight, and definitely out of range because the range is 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, no line of sight, so we're A-okay. That was actually perfectly fine for us. Our heroes did not get to take any more damage, and we can go ahead and continue the mission. And we get to go over to our Neomorph, who gets to do their full activation, figure out exactly what they want to do for their turn. I think what we're going to do for our Neomorph is we're simply going to do a basic move action right there. And let's roll the dice, see if we get any bonus movement. Ooh, 3 points of movement. That can actually change things up for me quite a bit. I was thinking about just moving right here and just shooting quite a bit, but I got 3 points of movement, so I can go 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. He would be in range of me to shoot him. I am actually liking that. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go move 1, 2, and 3, and then we're going to shoot over here at Y number 1. So let's go ahead and use our Psi Blaster right there, which is going to do 2 points damage. I can't roll any extra dice to add anything to the damage at all. So let's go ahead and do 2 points damage to him. He has no armor, so he's not going to have any way to knock the damage down, so he still has 1 hit point left over. That is it for a hero, so let's go ahead and flip it over. Let's go ahead and do our free rest action. This card will go back in our hand, along with this card right here. We'll advance the turn marker down right there, and now we get to go over to the enemies again. So unfortunately, we got to see that the red guys get to attack again. Hopefully we can take this beating a little bit better this time. So we know what's going to happen. He's going to attack the nearest, and he's going to do 2 points of damage. So going back over to Leviathan, we're going to take 1 and 2 points of damage just like that. Then the second guy is going to attack. We're going to take 1 point of damage, and then we will have to take 1 wound. Let's flip over the wound card, and we will get concussion. Unfortunately, our 1 slot is full, so it's going to go right here. It says 1 draw, play this on a 1 slot. It's going to slide over right there. So we're going to get hit in the head a little bit, which makes sense since these guys appear to have some nice little billy clubs. Pretty darn thematic so far. But we're getting kind of angry. Hulk smash. Anyways, that's it for both the red players. You see that the enemy AI works really, really quick. It's nice and easy here. So that is it. We make sure we did everything. We moved towards the nearest player and attacked. He attacked the nearest player, and he didn't have to move at all. So I think since they haven't been injured, there's nothing left to do there. So that's it for the round. So both of our heroes get to refresh. And guess who's going to activate now and do a lot of mean, very powerful things. And it's going to take out two guys very, very quick. His name and race rhymes with Leviathan. Let's go ahead and look over there. So the Leviathan player is going to play one card and one card only. Actually, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to do a rest action also. Just because it's going to allow me to get a lot of my cards back, and it's also going to move me closer to get rid of them. And I know I'm going to take out both these guys because I'm going to use massive damage. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a rest action. Leviathan Shock Rifle will come back in my hand. Concussion will slide down, and then Armor Regeneration is also going to slide down. And then we're going to look for our Kinbu Call Stance. It says, at the end of your turn, before the free rest action, deal 2 damage to all adjacent enemies. Well, this says right here, once per mission, you may choose a turn where all damage you deal is doubled and unblockable. So that means we're going to do 4 points of damage that's unblockable next to all enemies who are right next to us. So the first thing we get to do is we get to roll 1 die, because it does show us 1 die right there. And I'm really hoping I get a shield, because I've been rolling shield earlier, and I will get a +2. Unfortunately, that doesn't really help us. I didn't get the shield, but that's okay. Now, right before that rest phase, we had to do 4 points of damage, and it's unblockable. So 4 points of damage to him. He is defeated. Let's go and put him right there. 4 points of damage to him. Also unblockable. So he is also defeated, and he goes into a mad frenzy, clawing everything around him, completely tearing apart, and yeah, just doing what he does really good, because he is literally a combat monster. That's the end of his turn. So since it's the end of his turn, he gets to get his free rest action. So the concussion is going to disappear. The armor regeneration is going to slide over, and the Kabul Cull Stance is also going to slide over. And then we get to go ahead and, before I forget, let's flip his token over to signify that he is activated. And let's go and advance the turn marker right down right there. So the turn marker has gone down a little bit. Unfortunately, I didn't plan too well for one little thing. Oh well, life is going to get a little bit interesting, because now yellow enemies get to activate, and lowest initiative is going to be him first. It says if the activated enemy was damaged last turn, use the exclamation point instead. He was damaged last turn, so he's going to move away from the last activated player, and then he's going to damage the nearest player. So his range is a, let's see, a 4. So he's going to go 1, 2, 3. So he's going to be right at max range right there. So he's actually not going to move at all, and he's just going to shoot. He does 1 point of damage. That means we're going to go down to here, which means we have no more shields left on this hero. That's okay. He's probably just going to take 1 wound. Not a big deal. Now initiative number 2 right here is going to move towards the last activated player, and then he's going to attack the nearest player, which happens to be this hero right here. Actually, wait, no, that's not true. It's moved towards the last activated player. This was the last activated player right there, so it's going to move towards him. So his movement happens to be a movement of 3. So he's going to go 1, 2, 3, just like that. And that pretty much means that he is now going to attack the very angry Leviathan. So attacking the nearest player, that would be him. So let's go ahead and do a point of damage to him, which means we need to grab an injury card. And we're going to flip over Laceration. When drawn, move any 1 wound card that is in the 1 slot to the right and place this card on the 1. The 1's full, so we're going to place that on the number 2 slot, signifying that we have a Laceration. We're actually doing really good. We have 1 total injury out of all of our heroes. Sure, our shields are down, but we're really doing really good here. So that is it for the bad guys. Now we get to go to our heroes, and the one who gets to activate is going to be our Neomorph. So for our Neomorph, you have 1 hit point left. I really could, if I wanted to. I do have enough actions left over. I could probably stretch this out and actually do the polite victory and just hack the terminal, break open the door, and go aboard the ship. But our heroes are a little bit angry. I just happened to hire the angry team. I just couldn't have it. Commander Shepard, learn not to be around such angry people. Or do, because it's fun. So we are going to, let's see, how do we want to do this? I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do this nice and easy. We're going to do a rest action, which means both of these cards are going to slide over. This card is going to go back in my hand. I will use this card right here, and I am going to shoot at him, which is going to do 2 points of damage. I don't get to roll any dice, unfortunately, but hey, that's okay. 2 points of damage is enough to make sure that this thug is also going to be removed from the board. So Y1 is defeated. Both of my actions, flip this over. We get our free rest action, which means my sniper rifle is now back in my hand. Let's advance that turn marker, and now we would normally flip this over to red. There's no red left over, so we're simply going to ignore that, and we are going to stay on the yellow for the disorganized attack here. And since he's the highest initiative, or the lowest initiative, I should say, the only one left, he's going to attack the nearest player. So the nearest player is going to be, well, let's see, it looks like it's actually a perfect tie between both of our heroes here. So if he wasn't damaged, so let's just go ahead and go against our Leviathan again. So let's go ahead and flip a card for our Leviathan, and we are going to suffer another laceration. Lose 1 armor and place this card on 1. So we will slide this all the way over here, just like that. We're not knocked unconscious yet. And that is it for the enemy. Now we get the refresh for both of our heroes, just like that. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to activate our Leviathan, who's kind of really just angry all over again. So the first thing we are going to do for Leviathan is... Actually, you know what? I don't even need to do that. I think what we're going to do is we're just going to end this mission right here, right now. I'm going to sniper this guy really quick because 1, 2, 3, I just need to move 1 square away. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to play a movement action first. So our character within 3 for 2. Nope. So I'm going to play a move action. I'm going to roll a die just in case I get a shield, because a shield would be kind of cool. I'm going to get a +2, so that means I get 3 points of movement. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, just because it's really cool to snipe at max range. And this card goes back in my hand, and now I'm going to use my laser sniper rifle, which is going to do 3 points damage to an enemy within 4 to 8. So I'll roll 2 dice because I might get shields, just because, you know, that'd be cool. I get +1, which does absolutely nothing for me. I could re-roll it, but there's really no reason to do it all. So I'm going to do 3 points of damage. He has 3 hit points. He has no armor. He has no defense to that. He is going to be sniped from afar. And now we have reached one of the victory conditions for this stage of the mission. So let's go back to the mission text and see what's going to happen, because we just won the mission. Okay, success. Open the door, disable the console, and get all the players on board. Success, mission number 1. Or if we eliminate all enemies, it's success, mission 2, which is success, continue to C1, mission update 4B, aftermath. Mission update 4B, aftermath. Leaving the gravitational pull of Fury's fall, everything becomes quiet as the cold, dark space wraps around the ship. Camrio, comm, pilot. This is the pilot speaking. We're in neutral space with no pursuers. You may step down from your action stations. For the next several hours, we'll be cruising in the shadows of the planets in the habitable zone to avoid any sporadic radiation bursts from the sun. Umbracius, in person. This is certainly one way to handle it, and your team did not disappoint on the scale of bloodshed. I've transferred a generous fee for your trouble, which I hope will also convince you to stay around for a lot longer, which I hope will also convince you to consider our future collaboration. I can assure you there's more to the operation than quick cash grabs. Let's get through the debrief so we can continue the conversation about important matters. Now at this point, everyone paint 1 marker in their legacy folder next to the Hellfires. Now the interesting thing about the full retail version of the game is that every one of our folders right here is also going to come with a big faction sheet. This faction sheet is going to list a couple known factions, but for story reasons there's going to be multiple unknown factions. And as you go through missions, you're going to be painting faction reactions on the left, which is faction doesn't like you anymore. And you'll be painting faction reactions to the right, which means that faction now likes you more, and that's going to influence further story. If you played role-player adventures, you probably have a rough idea what's about to get to happen here. You're going to eventually get to the point where mission is going to say if your faction level is at XYZ, this is where you're going to progress, or if your faction level is at ABC, or the negative, this is the direction the storyline is going to progress for you. Not only that, every one of our heroes has their own personal story, so I'm sure all that's going to wrap together. So you have your nice little faction board, and when it's talking about painting, you're actually going to take your character board right here, and through legacy components, you're going to permanently modify your hero, because as we go through these missions, you're going to be modifying your hero itself, and you're going to be modifying the cards for every one of your heroes, because as you go through there, you're going to be adding permanent stickers onto these cards, which are going to give you permanent abilities, allowing you to modify these cards, which is something that is so darn awesome about this game. This is something that I think is a wonderful, amazing advancement of the gameplay of Gloomhaven. If you played Gloomhaven, you understand the basic idea of how Gloomhaven, you would kind of update your cards, but as you played the game, you would always lose your cards. I love this timer track, which means that I can make my cards really awesome and really cool, and I don't have to worry about losing them on missions. I can continue to use these cards and feel like my hero is continually being really cool, kind of being kind of like a badass, I have to say, because that's just what I really feel when I play this game. Well, that's how I felt when I played Mass Effect 2, so that really shouldn't be a surprise. So this has just been a quick overview of the very first mission of this game. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the video right here. If you want to see the next mission in the series, go ahead and tune in for the next video. If you have any comments or questions, make sure you leave them down in the YouTube comments down below. I will definitely get to them as quickly as I can. If you want to email me, you can also email me at off-the-shelf-board-game-reviews. That's otsbgr@gmail.com. I'll do my best to answer your email as quick as I can. If you enjoy this video, and if you enjoy the video series and you enjoy all the content I put out there, think about supporting the channel over on Patreon. Just tossing $1 in the tip jar can help me cover my costs. Not only that, it can also help me keep bringing out content to you on a constant basis. Remember, this channel is 100% sponsor-free and self-funded. Everything I bring out here from all the content comes out of the generosity of my own pocketbook and also my friends who also loan me game to put out video content for all of you. You can help to support the channel just by tossing $1 in the tip jar, which can help me bring out more content for all of you. If you enjoy this video, if you enjoy this video series, click that like button, click that subscribe button, and as always, thanks for watching.